Hello and welcome to RevWheels, where in Thiruvananthapuram, or Trivandrum as they call it, the southernmost tip of Kerala. Now, we're here with our companion, the MG Windsor, and we're going to explore the backwaters, the hills, the highways, and do that before we take the long journey back to Bombay, a 1700-kilometer trip back to Bombay. Now, the question is, can an electric vehicle be used to explore God's own country and at the same time do this long distance touring? Let's find out.
Glad to see you again.
Glad to see you too. After a long walk in Kerala's humidity, ventilated seats is like a godsend.
Poor feels like a place where time slows down, where the river meets the sea and everything just flows quietly. Gliding through these backwaters surrounded by coconut groves and still waters, you realize this isn't just a drive, it's an experience. And in the silence of an EV, you hear Kerala the way it's meant to be heard.
Alright, excuse me first of all for holding my lungi. I'm still getting used to this attire. I don't want to flash my viewers, so I'd rather just hold it. But anyways, we're done exploring Thiruvananthapuram, or Trivandrum as they call it. It's beautiful. We absolutely loved every bit of it. Now, we thought we'd just head back and make our marathon trip back to Bombay. But before that, we laid our eyes on the map and we saw Kanyakumari, which was just about 80 kilometers away. So we thought, why not head to Kanyakumari, experience one of the most beautiful sunsets that India has to offer. And it's also known as Land's End. So what better way to begin our journey from one end of India and head straight to Bombay, which will be a marathon trip of over 1700 kilometers. So let's get into the Windsor and make a dash for Kanyakumari so that we can catch that sunset and show you how beautiful it really is. Let's go. So en route Kanyakumari, we were hungry and we decided to stop for lunch. And we thought, since we're juicing up ourselves, might as well juice up the car as well. So en route, we found this charging point. It's called Relux. Well, obviously it's not available everywhere else. I think it's available only in this part of the country. Relux, as you can see, it's 15.5 plus GST per unit. We were about 48%. I think this is a super fast DC charger. It took about half an hour for the car to full charge. And the best part is you don't need an app for this charger. You can just call the number which is mentioned here and he just initiates the charging, and then you call him back and you have a scanner here and then you just pay the amount. I mean, that's fantastic. The whole charging bit about downloading different kind of apps for every kind of charging, it's a real pain. I mean, something like this, it's a godsend when you're on a road trip, especially a long one like we are on. So do check out this. It's called the Relux app. We're on our way to Kanyakumari now. We finally made it to Kanyakumari, the southernmost tip of mainland India, where the three seas meet and the sun sets in complete silence. From the backwaters of Kerala to the coastal roads of Tamil Nadu, the MG Windsor has brought us here flawlessly. But the real test begins tomorrow, because tomorrow we begin the real long journey back home in Bombay, and that's over 1700 kilometers. We're going to be traversing multiple states, multiple charging points. Well, if you ever wondered what an EV can do over long distances, there's no better way to find out. 1700 kilometers all the way to Bombay, so stay tuned. Alright, it's a brand new day. The sun is shining and we are all set to head back home. As you can see, we have 100% charge, a full 320 kilometers range. First of all, let's let some sunlight into the cabin. Hello, MG.
I'm listening.
Open sunroof.
The sunroof has been opened.
The joys of technology. Well, anyways, like I said, we are 100% charged, and to get maximum efficiency, let me put this into Eco Plus, and let's make the energy recovery, the regen basically, into heavy. Alright, there you go. I can already feel the resistance coming in. Let's get back to our Android Auto map, and over 1700 kilometers to go. We're going to keep going on different state highways like I mentioned yesterday. Alright then, everything's set. So let's go. Exciting times ahead. So we finally made our first stop after leaving Kanyakumari. We've done about 228 kilometers and the range left is about 18%, which realistically, I mean speaking, on a full charge, this is the 38 kilowatt hour battery, and we get a realistic range of what the car shows is about 320 kilometers. And since this is the highway, it doesn't get to regen enough, and that's why the range differs a little bit. You get a little less range. So I think realistically speaking, we got about 280 to 290 kilometers on a full charge, and I guess we are fast charging right now, and we leave from here once the car fully charges, and let's see how it does after this. So we've done about 360 odd kilometers since we left Kanyakumari, and Bangalore is that way straight up, and it's about 300 kilometers odd. But this is touring with EVs and we can't make it that simple, right? So we're going to take this route. Now this route takes us via the fantastic Satyamangalam Forest Reserve. So Satyamangalam Forest Reserve promises one of the most beautiful wildlife you can imagine. And who knows, when we're passing through, maybe we'll spot a tiger or maybe two. So let's see what surprises Satyamangalam holds for us, and let's go. So we finally landed in Satyamangalam. This is not the wildlife sanctuary, but the city itself. The wildlife sanctuary is a little further ahead. But reaching Satyamangalam rather, is been like an achievement of sorts. We started with 100% charge. We've done 262 kilometers and we've got 54 kilometers range still left. If you add it up, that's 316 kilometers. And when you charge it to 100%, it shows you 320 kilometers of range. That means almost near about 100% efficiency. That's just phenomenal. I mean, I don't know whether I should praise my driving or the car, but irrespective, it was a fun drive, and I think the car's done very well. We love the drive, we love the scenery, and I think tomorrow is going to be even more interesting. We're going to call it a day today. Excuse my language, I'm just too tired after driving it efficiently rather. So tomorrow is what we're waiting for, the wildlife sanctuary. I don't know what we're going to spot, so stay tuned. We've finally entered the Ghat section of the Satyamangalam forest, and this is where the MG Windsor just comes alive. I mean, it packs quite a bit of wallop, and every sharp hairpin bend that I get, you can hear the tires chirping. That's the amount of torque it tries to put down, and the grip. I mean, even with those fat tires, it grips hard. And since this is an electric, I mean, the torque response is just instantaneous. This is a lot of fun. I think a forest area like this should be experienced in an EV like the MG Windsor. Now the forest, it's calm, it's silent and green. The MG Windsor too, it's as silent as the forest and it's green too. Zero emissions in a green area like this. All forest area or wildlife sanctuaries, I think, should be experienced in an EV to give you an experience of what I'm talking about. This should be done once at least. So we are now finally on home stretch. This here is the Bangalore-Bombay highway, and we're here finally charging our car, the MG Windsor. A little bit about the charging infrastructure and how to plan when you're out touring on your EV, or rather in your EV. Now, make sure every time you need to recharge your vehicle, you start looking for a charging point at least 100 kilometers before. You need to have at least 100 kilometers of range in your car. Because what happens is when you reach that charging station and then you realize it's not working, and then you need the juice to look for more chargers. So every time you start looking for a charger, make sure you have at least 100 kilometers of range. Listen to this because we've learned it the hard way. And then of course you come to the battery. Now this here, like I mentioned before, is the 38 kilowatt hour version. So you get a max range of about 300 kilometers, which is decent in the city, but when you're touring long distances like we are, you do need a decent range. But MG has an answer for that as well in the Pro variant. So depending on how you're going to use your MG Windsor or an EV, choose the battery version wisely. If you're going to do long distances outside the city, make sure you buy the big battery version. And if it's in the city, then something like this, the 38 kilowatt hour version, works perfectly fine. So Neeraj decided he wants to have a go in the MG Windsor. I said, why not? So here I am in the back seat. And now that I'm here, I realize this just might be the best seats in the house. Now, this is less of a seat and more like a lounge. You can see the amount of legroom that I have, acres of legroom, plenty of headroom. Even the backrest angle is extremely comfortable. And since this is an extremely smooth EV, I don't have any vibrations coming in nor any noise. Now, this is extremely important because on a long journey like this, over 1700 kilometers that we're doing, comfort starts mattering a lot. And this is just the right kind of place where you can just sit back, relax, watch the scenery go by and watch the journey unfold. That was a lot of fun. That's what you do when you have an EV on charge and a lot of time to spare. Now about the journey. This is going to be our last stop. We're in Pune and this is where we charge our Windsor EV for the last time. And then we finally conclude our epic mega journey in Bombay. And just like that, we're back in Mumbai. Now this journey started way back in Kerala, where we experienced some of the most beautiful beaches and not to mention some amazing roads. And then we headed towards Kanyakumari, where we saw the most beautiful sunset. And then of course across multiple highways, multiple states, and not to mention over 1700 kilometers later, the MG Windsor has finally brought us home. And what this proves is touring with EVs is really possible, and I mean serious touring like what we did, as long as you plan your charging stops and take the journey a little slower. Now taking the journey slower has a lot of benefits. You get to see more, you get to experience more, and you're not just rushing towards your destination. Comfortable, quiet and surprisingly efficient, the MG Windsor has been a phenomenal companion in this adventure of ours. This was touring with EVs in God's own country, and the journey, it doesn't stop here. So make sure that you're subscribed to the RevWheels channel.